So the very first game I ever made was back in college with a buddy of mine, and it went pretty good. But the second game we tried to make together, not so much. It was a complete mess. So today, I'm going to go ahead and lay it all out there for you guys to know my story, why I'm a solo dev, why the team didn't work out, and some lessons you could probably pull away from this experience that I had. Back in the day, I went to college for my bachelor's degree in game design, and I met some pretty awesome people along the way. A couple of those people, we stuck together after college to try and make a game together. More specifically, now I'm going to make up their names, Caleb and Jim, that we stuck together after college and vowed to make a game together. But unfortunately, Caleb had other plans within a few months. He went off to Korea, so then it was just stuck to me and Jim. Me and my buddy, we vowed to stick together and make sure we were able to get a game done before the year was up. And we did so, and that game was called Upjumper. The whole process was pretty amazing because we both were 100% in on it. We both handled a little bit of everything, and we did so by using something called version control. Now, if you don't know what version control is, don't worry. I didn't know what it was either when I first started using it, but my quickest explanation for you is that it allows multiple people to collaborate on something very seamlessly by using this software. I mean, could you imagine trying to email each other the project back and forth or using a Google Drive folder? Insane. Now, the version control we used was called Source Tree. We looked into a couple others like Perforce, Git, GitHub, but we settled on Source Tree because it was something we were more familiar with and it was just easier for us to use. Plus, it was free. We didn't have any expectations. We didn't care if the art wasn't good. We didn't care if it had multiple enemies. We just wanted to make sure it had solid gameplay mechanics and that we were able to get it done within a year. And we did just that. And after that, me and Jim sat back watching the numbers of the downloads, of the nice comments people were leaving on our game, and just enjoying the moment. Then came game number 2. After our first release, we felt unstoppable. We were super hyped. So what do you do when you feel this way? You make a bigger game. Bad idea. Honestly, so many things went wrong with this. We didn't plan properly. The scope got way out of hand, and it was just too big for us. Think 3D shooter from two fresh college grads that made a 2D scroller, because that's exactly what this turned out to be. From the very beginning, before we even started game number 2, we had completely different opinions of how we should go about the second game. He wanted a 3D shooter. I wanted to stick to 2D. I wanted to hone our skills and do something better with what we already had learned. He wanted pixel perfection, and I wanted some solid mechanics, and not to focus so much on the aesthetics. On top of all this tension, our version control got messy. And you know what happens when it gets messy? You have a tendency of pushing at the same time and causing a corruption. Well, then guess what? A full day's worth of code was completely lost. So lesson number 1 to take away from this is to set up proper branching, commit rules early, or else you're going to face hours of wasted time with stupid mistakes. Now back to the game. Like I said, we were going to go ahead and make a 3D game, but due to neither of us having a lot of skill in Blender or 3D model making in general, we were running out of options and running out of assets on the Unity store. So we reached out and found an artist over, I think it was on Fiverr. The meeting with her was super chill, and we were both very upfront with her, stating that we couldn't pay her, but we'd go ahead and allocate a percentage of the profits to her once the game was released, and she was cool with it until she wasn't. Once the development process started failing between me and Jim because of lack of communication and lack of direction, the artist felt that her time was better spent streaming instead of showing up at our weekly meetings that we would have. And then sooner or later, she just dipped. So lesson number 2, make sure you got your stuff together, that you got your game in a solid proof of concept state before you start adding more people to the project. So you're probably wondering, after all of this stuff happening, what was the final straw? What completely ended our journey as developers together? Creative control. That's right. We were both stubborn, hard-headed, and thought the other one was wrong in the creative direction of the project. So because of this, the arguments got bigger, they got personal, and after one big blowout, that was it. That was the end, and the project died. And honestly, I was pretty torn about the whole thing, not just because of the game, but also because I lost a good friend. Now, cut to about 6 years later, and here we are, me jumping back into game development solo. I had to shake off a bit of rust, and let me tell you, there was a lot of rust actually. And once I started getting back into it though, it was so liberating. It was so amazing to get back into something that I truly love. And I do everything, the coding, the art, the design, teaching me all these little things too. And let me tell you, it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. But to be honest, I love it. I love being able to take the time to work on my project whenever I want, and I don't have to worry about stepping on someone's toes in the creative process. Solo dev isn't perfect though. I do miss being able to bounce ideas off of someone else besides my pink little duck. But I've learned to keep things small and focused and keep the feature creep to a bare minimum. Last lesson here is communication, even with yourself. It's everything. So that's my story. A game that worked, a friendship that didn't, and that's why I'm a solo developer now. I do hope you take away a few things from this though. Master version control early if you mean to work with a team. Finalize a proof of concept before you start adding more people to the team and make it a complete disaster. And lastly, communicate like your project depends on it, because it does. If you're an aspiring dev, I really do hope this helps you dodge the mistakes I did and maybe leans you into one way or the other. Hopefully it helps you decide if you want to be a solo dev or if you want to try and get into a team setting. There's nothing wrong with either one. And remember, keep leveling up your stats in game and in life, and I'll see you in the next one.